Now you're probably wondering, what is he doing? Aren't they pretty, Barb?
They're beautiful.
You know what? I'm actually trying to catch bait, and I'll explain to you where we are. What I'm holding in my hand here is what they refer to as a sardine. How do you like your coffee? You're actually going to see the commercial fishing boat too that we're going to be going on tomorrow, where they harvest these because they can them and they process them.
Canadian Sport Fishing is brought to you by Rapala Premium Fishing Gear, crafted from experience. Yamaha, on the water. This is my Yamaha. What kind of Yamaha are you? Dickies, a legend in work since 1922. Lucky Strike. More fish fight with a Lucky Strike.
You know, this is neat. We were out on the commercial seining vessel that's right in front of us just about a half an hour ago, and we thought we would try for some of those Wells Catfish that are very plentiful here in the Kinneret or the Sea of Galilee. Look at the big swirls. I've got my drag tightened pretty strong, so either my leader's going to break or something, but I'm trying to get this fish up. You talk about excitement. You know, I fish for channel catfish. Barbara's a pretty good size, eh?
Yeah, not bad.
So I'm trying to keep his head up so he won't go underneath things that might be on the bottom, like rocks or things.
Good idea.
And the crew that we were with are over there, and they're pretty excited. Look at this. Now I've got 50-pound fluorocarbon leader. So it's going to be interesting whether his teeth are going to cut through it. I'm trying to see if I see the hook. I don't see the hook. So what I'm going to do is grab this guy with my glove, Barb.
Okay.
But he's got so much strength, I don't want him to hurt my hand.
Yes.
So I got to make sure that he's tired out. So this guy, he's giving me a good wrestle, Barb.
He's great.
And you know, he's not a real big one because they're so long. It's kind of deceiving. So we didn't bring a landing net to Israel. So we've got the tailing glove. And let's just see here. I don't think he's ready. He's like a big snake. Look at those big barbels. This is going to be very interesting. And I only have one glove, and they have spines. So, well, we're going to see what's going to happen here. Barb, if the line is loose, that's what these catfish look like here. There, and there. Okay. You know, this glove is amazing. I've fished in different parts of the world for a variety of fish. And when Monacan asked me how I was going to land the fish earlier, he said, do you have a net? I said, no, I'm going to use the glove. He goes, that glove? You know you're going to use that glove? And I said, yeah, as long as the fish are under 100 pounds. And the reason I said that is because I've caught tarpon, you know, up to about 130 pounds. Mind you, the tarpon have to be fought out, but you can actually grab them by the lower jaw like this. And I'll just show you how he just inhaled that. Now look at how flat his head is. Oh, it's kind of like flipping for bass, you know, where you hook the fish and you got to pull them out. That's it. He's actually being a good fish. Okay, you ready? He's going to shoot off, Barb, real quick.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to put him, I don't think I'll be able to hold him at all. I can feel him. Oh, man, he took off like a bullet. Tell you what, this is kind of neat. You know, we came in, because it's about noon, to have a little bit of lunch, and we're going to be enjoying the fresh fish that are out there. But last night, we're actually catching these sardines. Barb, could you pass me one of the sardines? You can see we've got a special container. How do you like your coffee? Sardinish. to keep our sardines in. Now these are the same sardines that we were catching last night using small hooks with tiny worms in a float. They're very important as an industrial fish for commercial fishing here in the Kinneret because they're very plentiful and they can be prepared many different ways. I think the most popular way that they're prepared is canned, like you get canned sardines from saltwater, but we're going to be enjoying some of these that were just caught about an hour ago for our lunch. We're going to try a variety of the Kinneret fish, especially the ones that are known for their eating qualities. So Barb, I'm going to get this back out. I'll move out of my way. I'm going to give you the front platform. How's that? You know, in our travels from the Mediterranean all the way to Nazareth, the one thing that you can't help seeing is all of the olive groves and olive trees. Olives are very important in Israel, not just for eating pickled olives that are prepared, but also olive oil. And this goes right back to thousands of years ago. Back then, though, things were very different when it came to processing the olives into oil. As you can see here, this is one of the first steps in the olive press where we've got the olives that are being crushed, and the power you can see is from a donkey. So it's all manual. And very large stones, just like that, were used. So stones were very important, not just in the olive presses, but also in making wine. And I'm going to show you that next. I'm actually sitting on the edge of a wine press. That's what you see behind me. This depression in the rock was an actual first century wine press. So what they would have done, they would have washed this area out, they would have brought grapes in, people would have washed their feet, and they would have crushed the grapes with their feet. The grapes would have come down into this vat that's right here, and the air, which has yeast particles in it, would ferment the juice and it would turn into wine.
Dickie's Sport Fishing Sweepstakes.
So we were in a lake, and then, because this used to be a forest, I thought it was a twig, and then my fishing rod started to move, and it was a fish, and my dad didn't even help me, and I just started reeling it in, and I just got it in.
We'd love to hear your fishing story. Go to our website and enter the Dickie's Sport Fishing Sweepstakes. It's free, and you could win some great prizes.
You're doing good. Get him right over here to the right, away from the boat. That's the best thing.
Yeah.
The rod's nice and strong, and you can
It
really
is,
feel
yeah.
the spine.
You can actually direct them.
Yeah, so try to keep his head up if you can. That way we're going to make him use as much energy as possible.
Okay.
He's not a bad size. I thought he was small like mine. He's a bit bigger, but look at, they use that body mass. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, they do a figure eight.
How he goes left and right. Look at, very, very strong. Gorgeous. I love that. Big head shakes.
Yes.
What he's trying to do is literally try to unravel himself. He thinks he's probably caught up in something. He's not used to having a hook in his mouth. This is great. Beautiful. Look at those big whiskers. Now those whiskers are called barbels, and they actually use those to sense if there's food near the bottom. So these things are feeding machines, Barb, and with that shape, they can get into the shallowest water. They can be real sneaky. So you're doing good. I'm going to sit down here if you want to back up a bit, Barb. See if I don't want, the thing you got to be careful if you're putting your thumb inside a fish's mouth, even like bass and so on, is that you don't get your finger in the hook. Can you imagine getting a fish that's 30, 40 pounds if these little guys are fighting so hard? Now you better not blink. He's going to disappear even though I had him out of the water. Look.
He's gone.
They touch the water, they know. It means freedom. So what I'm doing for a couple of reasons. First of all, most predator fish grab their prey by the head, because obviously if the fish is still alive, if they grab it by the head, they're going to have a much better chance of catching it and eating it than if they grab it by the tail and the fish swims away. So if I really wanted to hook these fish deep, I would hook my bait fish up here. But I don't want to do that because we're releasing the fish we're catching. So what I'm doing is hooking it between the dorsal fin and the tail. And I'm also using this part of its body because it's pretty firm meat, and I'm going through the spine. Okay? And the hook is totally exposed. You can see the tip of the hook. You know, when it comes to habitation, 2,000 years ago, things were very simple, but the homes were also built very well. This is an average home, and you can see the materials come from the area. So it would be limestone, mortar. Many times, you know, eating would be important. It would be one of the first things that they would do once they would come back from working in the fields. This would be the main courtyard, and this is where there would be a lot of activity. So there would be children here, families. They would have a storage area, which would be very simple, basin. The storage area would have food that could be kept for a while, so maybe things that could be dried, like herbs, garlic, and so on. Cattails, when they grow, they stabilize the shoreline. What I mean by stabilize, if there's wind and waves,
Yeah.
or if we were on a lake and motorboats were going by, the waves would erode the soil and it would fall into the lake. So when cattails grow, they actually anchor the soil. So even if waves come, it doesn't erode the soil into the lake. The other thing that cattails do, their roots are in the water. And when they take nutrients out of the environment, they filter the water. So if you have a marsh where there's a lot of ducks and turtles and frogs, or even cattails here along the shore, the cattails filter the water, so the water is actually cleaner. So cattails are very important because they create clean water.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you by Slimers in Organic Flesh Bait. Fish hit hard and often with Slimers.
It's like cooking a snake. You know, when most people think of coming to Israel, it's either on a religious pilgrimage or coming to see some of the archaeology, you know, and a lot of the digs, and there's so much history here. And a lot of people enjoy seeing all the beautiful places because Israel is a beautiful country. You know, you can go to the Mediterranean or the Red Sea, or from north to south. There's just such a difference in geography. This is where I gotta trick him into opening his mouth without dropping my pliers into the Sea of Galilee. He might break the line even though he's not a big one. These fish are so long, look at this. Now you gotta watch it. Much like our North American catfish, this guy's got spines, and in a moment I'm gonna show you what I mean. I'm gonna try to get his mouth open, if I can, with the pliers. So I've got sandals on, so I've gotta be a little bit safety minded at this point. You know, the interesting thing is, they're not really recognized as a game fish or a sport fish, yet they're so much fun. Now, there's the hook, Barb, just in the side of the mouth.
I see it.
I'm going to take that hook out. He actually got double hooked, so the hook went in and then turned around. So I got to get the point out first. So it really helps to have the pliers. Now, it's literally like sewing. I can get the other side out. This glove is ideal for handling fish because it's made out of Kevlar and stainless steel. Now look at how long this guy is. He's almost like a snake. And it's kind of neat because we've got the commercial fishing boat in the background. Now what I was saying earlier about the spines, he doesn't have a dorsal spine. So you can see his dorsal fin extends all the way back to his caudal peduncle. That's what you call this area here between the body of the fish and the tail. So this is all soft, but right here you got to be careful. This is a very strong spine right there, and also here. So in some cases, that's one of the ways that you hold a fish, like this. But because I've got the glove, I'm holding him by the jaws. This would be considered a small catfish here in the Sea of Galilee. But I'll tell you what, you got to put the boots to them when they take your bait, because you have to, especially here, because we've got boats and things. We're right in this marina basin at the kibbutz. You have to get them out, otherwise they'll get you around a prop or some of the things that are on the bottom here, rocks and so on. So I'm going to slide him in, and he's going to disappear, Barb, like a bullet.
Like a bullet.
Like a bullet, okay? So watch this. The water's murky, and he feels the water already, and he's gone. I can't hold on to him. Now, the rods that we've chosen to bring on this trip are actually catfish rods, believe it or not. And they're dual purpose. So we're planning to fish them in salt water because we're going to be fishing down on the Red Sea, and we're going to be throwing large poppers for trevally. Some of them can reach, 10, 20 kilos even at this time of the year. So this rod you can see here is rated from, I'm just going to check the rating. It says 15 to 30 pound test. It's a 2-piece, very stiff rod if I shake it. Now that rating is for monofilament line, but what I've done is taken the appropriate size spinning reel, so this would be considered a large spinning reel, and I've loaded it with 50-pound braid. Now you might say to yourself, you know, well, if it says it's only rated for 30-pound test, why do you have 50-pound braid on? Well, I've done that because when they rate a rod, it's really about the line diameter. And this 50-pound braid has the line diameter of about 20-pound test, so I'm fine using this together. You know, we had to take a break from the fishing action to show you how well they prepare the fish here. The one thing, when you come to Israel, you're going to experience some of the best tasting fish you've ever had. And one of them is a tilapia. How do they get the fish to look so perfect? They look like they're all perfectly cooked.
Okay, well, if you see there in the left, you can see the computer. So this computer can know when the fish is ready. It's come exactly when it's cooked, not dry and not alive, exactly for it. This is my favorite way to have fish after it was a little bit in the oil.
Yes.
Then to get the taste, we put it a little bit on a barbecue, on a grill.
Now, is that what actually you use? You don't use gas?
No,
It's the wood?
no, really wood. We don't play games. Everything it's wood, and we make it ready. And we don't want to get fire. If you put your hand here like this,
No, it's hot.
it's very
No
hot.
flame. Wow. You know what? I am hungry. I don't want to take one of these. I'll burn my fingers. So we should go back outside and enjoy our
Okay,
fish.
well, let's tell them to make it.
Okay. Barbara, this is amazing. How many people would love to do this? To get these nice sized catfish like this? I mean, you can get them from the shore. We're in this little inflatable, which is really comfortable. Okay, mine's hooked nice and light, so this is good. Are you okay holding on to yours? Actually, yours is hooked light too. Okay.
Okay.
You're okay holding on to yours while I take the hooks out of
I'll
this
try,
one?
yeah.
Okay, here we go
Set
again.
up.
This is like a fire drill. You know, most people would use like a boar grip, which is the mechanism that you can clamp down on their jaws. But mine is back in the bus. We call it the fishing bus because we've been traveling all over Israel using literally a tour bus. So let's see if mine's going to stay on. It's hooked just by the lip. And I don't want to get my hands cut on the braid, so you got to be careful here. Look at those pretty whiskers.
Nice hook
How
set.
can people not like catfish? Look at how pretty they are. Nice flat head. Okay, he's getting me soaked. If he falls off, he falls off. That's one of the good things about the stainless hooks. They don't normally open up because they're pretty strong metal. So see if I can get his mouth open without the pliers. He doesn't like it. Come on, don't get my rod handle all fishy. These things are so slick that there's nowhere on their body that you can grab onto anything. They'll just shoot right out of your hands. That's one of the reasons why they can get anywhere. So Barb, I think yours is going to be a little bit bigger. Isn't he pretty? Look at this.
Yeah, he is beautiful.
Okay, watch him disappear. You're okay sitting there? Just going to
Yes.
release him. Look,
Okay.
there's no way I
He's
can hold
gone.
him. Okay, fish number 2.
Okay.
Just watch your
Now,
feet.
are these fish from Africa?
Yeah,
These
that's what I've been
catfish?
told by James,
Is
who's
that
the
right?
biologist that's been working with us.
Okay.
Yours is a little bit grayer color. You know, they remind me like a fish eel.
Yeah,
Aren't they pretty, Barb?
they're beautiful.
They kind of remind me of our bowfin, you know, that we have back in Canada.
Yes.
Because our catfish don't have that long dorsal fin that literally goes right around its body. Is he slick or what?
Very
Did
nice.
you feel how muscular he is? You haven't had one in your hands.
Yeah, you can
Almost like
feel
a-
his bones.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't think they have scales. It's just a very smooth skin. And even that makes him so hydrodynamic.
Little slimy.
Yeah. Okay, let's see if I can hold him. He's little. I don't think so.
Energy plus.
One twist and he's gone. Amazing. Now, you know, one of the reasons why we're getting so many fish, I have a feeling here that because this is a port and the commercial boats come in, a lot of times they'll clean the nets, and some of the fish that are stuck in the nets are just dropped and shaken off because they try to clean the nets, and as you can see, they've actually covered the nets now until they use them again. So the fish probably become accustomed to the sardines, even though they eat them in their natural environment out in the lake. Even though we're inside the actual harbor here, the fish will come in here regularly, probably checking to see if there's any sardines. So we're just casting out without anything on our line, like no weight or no float, and letting it sit on the bottom and slowly bringing it back. The water depth is probably about maybe 4 or 5 feet here, just barely deep enough for the boats to come in and out. You know, when you see the shores of the Kinneret, you can see it almost looks like an ocean on low tide. One of the problems here in Israel is that a lot of times they have droughts. And if I'm not mistaken, it's been a couple of years since they've had really good rainfall to bring up the level of the Sea of Galilee. And Israel really relies on it for their fresh water. That's where most of the fresh water comes from, even though they have desalination plants to convert the salt water from the Mediterranean into drinking fresh water. So here, the water's lower, and they always pray for rain, because rain is very important, because all the rain comes down from the north in the tributaries and, of course, fills up the Sea of Galilee. But these fish are here all the time. I'm sure if you're coming to Israel and you want to have some fun, maybe you can bring a pack rod with you, but make sure it's like a pool cue with some heavy line, like 30 to 50 pound
Right
braid.
on.
Because when you hook these fish, I'm telling you, it's like having a person at the other end of the line pulling on that line, wanting to pull you in. And we haven't caught any monsters. I mean,
No.
they are like 20, 30 pound fish. We've seen them, you know, some of them cruising, or you'll see them bust the bait fish on the surface, make a big boil, almost like a diver's fin. Well, Barb, maybe we'll get one more, then we've got to take a break.
That would be nice.
This is hard work.
Canadian Sport Fishing has been brought to you by Rapala Premium Fishing Gear, crafted from experience. Yamaha on the water. This is my Yamaha. What kind of Yamaha are you? Dickies, a legend in work since 1922. Lucky Strike. More fish fight with a Lucky Strike.
You know, this is such a sight. We're here on the Sea of Galilee, also known as the Kinneret in Israel. We're on the east shore, so we're across from Tiberias. And we just had a wonderful meal. And I came down with a light rod, it's a 6 pound test, and this is actually a steelhead rod. And we're casting to try to catch a fish called a large-scale barbel and also tilapia. So look at this little tilapia. It almost looks like a brim or a sunfish back home. But these fish are excellent eating. They're also called St. Peter's fish. You can see it hit a small vertical jigging spoon. It probably thought the spoon was a bait fish. Now, many of the tilapia species aren't piscivoral. That means that they don't feed on fish or even other organisms. Oh, he's gone. But that particular species does.